The heat of the summer night clung to me like a heavy blanket, the kind that makes you sweat and feel restless. As I drove along Route 44, the trees loomed tall and dark, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands trying to grab my truck. I had heard the stories about the woman in white, but I shrugged them off as mere folklore. Truckers like me were supposed to be tough, not scared of ghost stories, right? Around 2:15 a.m., my headlights cut through the darkness, revealing a figure on the side of the road. At first, I thought it was a mirage caused by the fatigue creeping in. But as I drew closer, my heart sank. It was a young woman in a long white dress, her dark hair obscuring her face. I couldn't just drive past. What if she needed help? I pulled my truck to a stop, the gravel crunching under the tires as I rolled down the window. "Do you need help?" I called out, my voice steady despite the creeping unease in my gut. She didn't respond, but instead climbed quietly into the passenger seat. The moment she settled in, I felt a chill sweep through the cab, as if a ghost had suddenly taken residence beside me. Trying to break the silence, I turned to her and asked if she was okay. Yet, she remained still, her gaze fixed on the road ahead, as if she wasn't even aware of my presence. The air felt thick, heavy with an energy I couldn't quite place. I glanced at the dashboard clock. 10 minutes had passed, and the silence grew thicker, wrapping around us like fog. Suddenly, she pointed toward an old wooden bridge that loomed in the distance. "Please, stop here," she said in a voice that seemed to echo in the air, soft yet chilling. My hands trembled slightly as I slowed the truck down, my instincts screaming that something was terribly wrong. I was too lost in my thoughts to realize I had looked away for just a second. When I turned back to her, she was gone. The passenger seat was empty, the door still locked, my heart racing as a wave of dread washed over me. I felt the blood drain from my face as I fumbled for my flashlight, the beam slicing through the dark, searching for any sign of the woman. But the only thing I found was the haunting rustle of leaves and the sound of my own ragged breath. I stepped out of the truck, the cold air biting at my skin. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling. There was nothing but silence, an oppressive quiet that seemed to mock my fear. The trees loomed over me, shadows twisting and turning, as though they were alive, watching me. I felt a sense of despair settle in, knowing I was utterly alone. The sun began to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange as I made my way back to the truck. What had just happened? My mind raced as I drove to the nearest town, my heart still pounding in my chest. When I met with the local sheriff, I expected laughter, some chuckle about my wild imagination. Instead, he looked grave, the lines on his face deepening as he listened to my story. He leaned back in his chair, his eyes piercing through mine. More than 20 years ago, a young woman died in a car crash near that bridge after asking for help from drivers, her spirit wandering ever since, he explained. The weight of his words hung in the air, wrapping around me like a noose. I was not the first to see her. I would not be the last. After that night, I never returned to Route 44 after dark. The memory of that ghostly figure haunted my dreams, her chilling silence echoing in my mind. Days turned into weeks, yet I couldn't shake the vivid image of her sad, hidden face. I told my story to anyone who would listen, hoping to find solace in shared fears, but the disbelief in their eyes only deepened my own dread. Years later, I continued my work as a truck driver, but the thought of that bridge always loomed over me. Other drivers began reporting similar encounters, their voices trembling as they recounted their stories of the woman in white. I would hear them speak, and my heart would quicken as they described her silent presence, confirming that I was not losing my mind after all. One night, I met a fellow truck driver at a diner. He looked pale as he recounted his own experience. "I saw her too, man," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with fear. In that moment, we shared a bond forged in the terror of the unknown. Two men haunted by the same spectral figure who lived on the edge of Route 44. A unity born of fear, yet strangely comforting. To this day, I avoid that stretch of road at night, knowing the ghost of the woman in white still wanders her lonely vigil. I wonder sometimes if she's waiting for someone who might finally answer her silent plea for help. And every time I drive past that bridge during the day, a shiver runs down my spine, reminding me that some stories are rooted in dark truths that cannot be explained.